morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of the Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a new supporter card that we really need. Like, really need. It's phenomenal. There is a gigantic downside. We have an answer for said gigantic downside. What we are looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is Chairman Rose. Although I believe the card is just actually called Rose. And it is a supporter card that reads according to the lovely Antoine Boulet. And I don't think we credited Antoine in the previous Sizzle video. Well, we probably did on screen, but I don't know if we did out loud. So apologies, ladies and gentlemen. That was rude of me. Antoine, I still love you. What you do is you attach up to 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon VMAX. That's phenomenal. And then you discard your hand. Oh. Yeah, that's a pretty big downside. Now, one thing we do need to note right at the beginning here, it is any Pokemon VMAX. It doesn't just have to be to the bench. So we've seen in the past with cards like Aqua Patch and Metal Saucer and Dark Patch, etc., that a lot of the time these kind of cards only actually work to accelerate to the bench. Not the case here. Now, really, the best parallel we've got for this card in recent memory is Mega Turbo. Mega Turbo was an item card that let you attach 1 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon. This attaches 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your VMAX Pokemon, and then discard your hand. So it is better than Mega Turbo in that you are getting 2 energy in 1, but it's worse because you got to discard your hand, and it's worse because it's your only supporter for the turn. You have been warned. Here's the thing, though. How much do we really care? Because the fact of the matter is, right, this is just going to make VMAXs viable. This is going to make VMAXs viable in a way that they weren't before. And actually, while we're talking about it being a supporter, that means it's, well, kind of semi-searchable with Pokegear. You can't actually search it, but you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and if it's in there, put it in your hand. So similar kind of thing. And it's recoverable with Palpad or the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds. Though remember, if you're using that, you will need your Oranguru or some other way to draw the top card of your deck so that you've got it in your hand now. So actually, being a supporter card gives it a rather hefty advantage because you can find it more easily and you can use it more easily. Now, in terms of discarding your entire hand, this isn't actually a huge deal. Well, there's 2 elements of this. Element number 1 is you actually do lose what's in your hand. We'll get there in a minute. Element number 2 is you end up with a 0-card hand. Well, one of the things, and this makes me so sad, because Gramble's being rotated. And this would be so good for a random Gramble tech. Now remember, Gramble's a single energy Pokemon, Aurora Energy. Remember that Arceus and Alga and Palkia is one of the best Pokemon in the game at the moment, and it's easily one-hit KO'd by Gramble. The problem with teching Gramble into random decks is that having to discard your entire hand to have a 0-card hand is awkward. But here, you're discarding your entire hand. This would be so good for random Gramble techs. But this is basically being released as Gramble rotates, Boo Hiss, etc. But actually, one of the cards I showed you yesterday was Rose Tower. And Rose Tower is a stadium that says once during each player's turn, they may draw until they've got 3 cards in their hand. Oh. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually like proper job over the top ridiculous. I mean, clearly these cards are made to be played together. They are Rose and Rose Tower. Rose discards your hand, and then Rose Tower lets you draw until you got 3 cards in your hand. It's literally Oranguru, but as a stadium card. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Because now we've got the answer. You use Rose, you attach 2 energy to one of your VMAXs, you then have a 0-card hand, and then you just use this to draw cards. Now, Cinccino won't work with this, unfortunately, because you've got to discard a card from your hand to use it. But you could, for instance, have Cinccino and Rose Tower, draw 3 with Rose Tower, and then discard 1 to use Cinccino. And let's not forget we got Crobat at the moment. Crobat is a rather ridiculous card. It's literally Shaman, but limited to once during your turn. So you draw 3 with Rose Tower, and if one of them is a Crobat or a Quick Ball to grab you a Crobat, you're sorted. I mean, you draw 3, one of them's a Quick Ball, play Quick Ball, 2 cards in hand. Discard a card from your hand, 1 card in hand, grab a Crobat, and you're drawing minimum 5 cards. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. So I'm really not worried about the discarding your hand thing. I think you've got to play it properly. I think you've got to be a little bit careful. But I also think you're going to be absolutely fine if you build your deck properly. So let's go to the whole attaching energy thing. It's ridiculous. I mean, we could just look at Eternatus VMAX. Eternatus VMAX for 2 energy does 30 damage for each Darkness Pokemon you've got in play, plus has an ability that is very literally a Sky Field, as long as you limit yourself to only playing Darkness Pokemon. So you have a bench of 8 Darkness Pokemon plus Eternatus, 270 damage. One of the very, very few downsides of Eternatus VMAX, and it is a phenomenal card, is that it is a 2 energy attacker. Now, it's not like we can't pay it. I mean, it's only 2 energy, but you can use stuff like red and blue to evolve a Weavile, and then use Weavile to move that energy over, because Weavile lets you move your darkness energy around the field as you like. So that would work quite nicely. But then we've also got this. You play this, and all of a sudden, you're just hitting for 270 damage quite nicely. And if you've got a Rose Tower in play, you then draw 3 cards and you're fine. Or you've got a Pokemon hitting for 270 damage, you take 2 or 3 prizes from 1 attack, and then you've actually just got a bunch of cards. Or you do both, you Rose Tower till you've got 3, knock out a tag team Pokemon to draw another 3, and then all of a sudden you've gone from a 0-card hand to a 6-card hand quick as you like, and that's kind of a little bit ridiculous. And it's not just this. Essentially now, any VMAX that you looked at before and went, oh, I'm not sure, becomes infinitely better. Let's take, for argument's sake, Centiskorch VMAX. Now, Centiskorch is one that I like very much indeed. What Centiskorch does is you do 40 damage base, plus 40 more for each fire energy attached to Centiskorch, and then you may attach a fire energy from your discard pile to Centiskorch. So that builds up pretty quickly, especially with Welder in the format. But now, as well as using Welder, you can also go and use Rose. But why would you use Rose when you've already got Welder? Because Welder says you've got to have 2 fire energy in your hand to use it. Rose attaches from the discard pile, meaning that you're reusing energy there, rather than having to get your deck lower and lower on energy. It's just another option. Or we can start looking at cards like Stonejourner VMAX that all of a sudden go from, yeah, how am I ever going to pay that, to, oh wait, no, that's actually legitimately viable now. Because it takes 3 energy and does 200. 200 is a lot. We love it. But also, it's free fighting energy. Accelerating it is a nightmare. Even trying to use Colossal doesn't really work, because Colossal will accelerate a fighting and a fire, but you only want the fighting, and then you still need 2 more fighting. Well, here, don't worry your pretty little head about it. Play a Rose, attach from your hand, boom, done. Job's a good 'un. And we can basically play this game for any Pokemon VMAX. And this is what I love about Rose. I love cards that make more decks viable. What I'm always looking for in Pokemon cards is, does it make the game more fun? And for me, more fun is lots of varied decks all being viable. I know some people like formats where it's 2 or 3 viable decks and that's about it. I have little argument. If that's where you fall down, that's on you. But I am telling you that I am a big fan of formats where we can play lots and lots and lots of varied decks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what Rose gives us here. Any Pokemon VMAX you liked before that someone said, yeah, it's not working anymore, maybe it is. I mean, one of the things I've mentioned a few times is that Dragapult VMAX is in a fairly precarious position because it takes 2 energy. And seriously, look at the format at the moment. You've got energy acceleration, and you got single energy attackers. And it loves using horror energy because you don't have to take 20 damage to attack it, and it does stack. So it could be 40 if there's 2 of them on there. But it means if you play a bunch of energy denial against Dragapult, they might be a bit slow. But then this saves them. Of course, Rose saves them in the same set that Eternatus VMAX basically says, ha, you're not that great anymore, but never mind, we'll get around it. Any VMAX that you wanted that was too expensive and too awkward and wasn't going to work is better because of Rose. I'm giving it 5 Wassies. I really do think it is that gosh darn good. I am not saying that it is going to make every VMAX amazing. I am not saying that every VMAX deck will even play it. I don't think the Fire ones will. Well, they might. But I am saying that it is a card that makes a number of decks, now and in the future, significantly more viable. And anytime we've got one card that makes everything a lot more viable, or everything in a particular area, you've got to all of a sudden be thinking, wait a second, that's a phenomenal card. So that's what I think, ladies and gentlemen, but I would like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, me nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.